Hi everyone, this is Takatoshi Shibayama, the host of the Future Design Podcast. This podcast looks to empower listeners with perspectives on how we can challenge the social norm and evolve with better understanding of philosophy, spirituality, and ethics. Empowered individuals can have a much stronger voice and influence in bringing about revolutionary changes in the world, whether you're building businesses or technologies. My guests and I speak about social constructs that are commonly accepted in the world today that's not working anymore, and how to rebuild them with ethical values to create a better future. This is part 2 of my conversation with Wajid Hassan.
Future Design Podcast.
Well, thank you for coming back onto our show again, Wajid. Thank you for joining the show.
Oh, great to be back, Takatoshi.
Yeah, great. And today is Monday, the 21st of June, and our part 1 just went live. So I hope a lot of the listeners have tuned in before listening to this part 2. And this time I just want to go a little bit deeper into our discussion about the world that we're living in today and how it's going to change over time. So the first question I had in mind was this new age of Aquarius. So we went from Pisces to Aquarius, and what I've learned that the age of the Aquarius is about friendship. It's getting people connected. And before that, it was more of people of idealism and trying to create this, new paradigm. So what can we learn from the past age, and then how we can incorporate what we've done previously into this new age?
Well, in the past, the greatest person was the person who would retire, would be away from humanity, who would be in a cave or in the Himalayas or in an ashram, who would go within, get the deep meditative states and would be enlightened. And that was, in the old days, that was what was considered as the norm. In these days, in the Aquarian age, Dr. King talked about 2 Buddhas that exist in this world. The first Buddha is the one who goes into the ashram to gain the higher states of meditation and, forget mankind, forget the vibrations of mankind, and just continue with his evolution. And the second Buddha is the one who lives among mankind, who can still go in the deep meditative states, who can still raise his consciousness, but detaches from that and puts all his time and effort to help raise the consciousness of mankind, because he realizes in this day and age that we are indeed our brother's keeper, and that we are responsible, whether we like it or not, for the whole planet. And so it's our duty, I was going to say moral duty. I think it's our duty just as members of the human race to help each other. It's not a privilege or an honor. It's just part of what we are in these days.
I totally understand, because right now I feel like this connectivity that we've started to kind of lose, because I think the previous age, and especially in my lifetime, I guess, and maybe for yours as well, is that we always had this idea that we have to be individualistic, we have to pursue our self-interest, and we had this kind of neoliberalism ideas amongst us, and as you mentioned, people lived in caves and tried to be more sacred just for our sake. But I think that now we have to think about the rest of the whole human society. We have to be more interconnected. When I just sit down with the people who are agitated around me, I do feel the sense, and I start to become agitated myself. I think that works across the whole world as well, right? So if we see a lot of violence and hatred, then we start to consume that, and we change into that person as well. So we have to be able to spread positivity around, and I think that this pursuit of self-interest has to be the pursuit of the whole entire human society. And the new age of Aquarius is that my understanding correct?
Yeah, people tend to to stay within their family unit or within their community, and some people do a tremendous amount of good within that community as well, and within their families. But Dr. King said that we're just as close to the Aborigines as we are to the Chinese, as we are to the Russians, as we are to any countryman around the world, as we are to our family. And that's a concept which is not popular. People don't want to hear that, but it's a metaphysical truth, and we all came, like I explained last time, we all came from the one creative source, or the divine source, and we're all going back to that one creative or divine source, and we're all parts of that. And so I think also another thing that your listeners may not be aware of, but evolution is actually speeding up right now. There is a change which is speeding up the evolution of mankind. So now it's a case of either we conform, or we will be asked to leave in the next couple of centuries. This is not well, maybe if mankind changes. No, a decree has been given to mankind at this time that either we change or conform, or we will not be allowed to stay on this planet. And that's a truth which, again, I found shocking, but at the same time, it is a reality.
Can you dive into more of that concept as well? Why aren't we able to be here? Why do we have to be dislocated somewhere else?
It's only fair. I explained that we have the positive influence of the Aquarian age. We have the raising of Mother Earth. Her vibrations are raising, which is causing climate change. The ionosphere is coming down. Cosmic rays are coming down. And so in those who, people like the warmongers or the polluters or the people who control the economies, the financiers, all those people who will not be able want to conform or keep the same ideology, they will actually, in mercy, not in harshness, they will actually, in mercy after death, will be taken to another planet. In this solar system. This planet has been referred to by scientists as Planet X. It's on the other side of the solar system from the Earth. It cannot be seen from Earth, but scientists have concluded that it is there, based on the magnetic pull of the planet Uranus and Neptune. They say it's about 10 times the size of Earth. And what Dr. King said is that those who do not conform will, in mercy, be taken to Planet X in the centuries to come, and will have to relive their evolutionary or bloody history that we created on this planet for 80 million years. And that's something that is important for your listeners to understand, that now it's either we conform or we go.
And when they have to move over to this Planet X, is it that the extraterrestrials will come and take them to Planet X, or will they just reincarnate and just land on Planet X?
Of course, that when we die, we go to different realms of existence, and from there, the reincarnation cycle for Earth, they will not be introduced into the reincarnation cycle of Earth, but will be introduced into the reincarnation cycle of Planet X. And so again, I as a metaphysician, I'm not a yogi master, but I don't know the intricacies of what will happen when they do. I do know that Dr. King said that their evolutionary cycle will be thousands of years regress, so they may actually reincarnate as basic life forms to, and maybe start from the caveman, Neanderthal kind of scenario, and then make their ways up thousands of years. So that's the possibility that could happen on this newer primitive world to start their evolutionary cycle.
We as humans only took place a very short time in the long lifespan of this Earth, but what was happening before us humans came along. Obviously, we had the dinosaurs and all these other creatures that evolved into who we are now. That's the science that we've been taught. But what you propose is something extremely different, is that we, from different planets, might have reincarnated into our human bodies. So how does that science match with the theories that you talk about?
Well, science is very, very incorrect. They say what the metaphysician or the yogi master says today, science acknowledges, 200, 300, 500 years later. And so, again, my master was able to see the true history based on, on his study, scientific study of the Akashic records of Earth. Some even... I'm not sure if he deluded it, but he said that the possibility of the dinosaurs could have been mutations from the atomic destruction of Atlantis. So, science is very, very primitive as far as the history is concerned, and the science that they know about the advanced civilization, again, for some reason, just like UFOs, they're hiding this information. But what Dr. King said, that before we came to this planet, there was actually an advanced race of human beings on this planet called Adamic man, a very advanced civilization. And Adamic man agreed 18 million years ago to help the mutated life streams that we were, radioactive mutated life streams that we were from destroying our planet Meldeck, and they actually helped over a period of centuries or thousands of years to help mankind evolve and resemble some kind of civilization. And they in turn actually left planet Earth to go on to other realms or other planets themselves. And that's that's something that science does not even mention at all, because they don't know. Science doesn't know. The yogis, again, have known all this for millions of years. And so I would say listen to the yogi masters than basic scientists who are still either know the truth or not revealing it to the masses.
Yeah, as I said in the last episode, I think science is just playing catch up to understanding this world. So you can't really take everything with scientific evidence as a plain old fact, because there's so much more mystery in this world. And but we had ancient people, like ancient scholars, Greek scholars like Aristotle, talking about Atlantis and etc. And they kind of existed on this life. We can't find them. There are a lot of statues and things that are buried in the oceans, and some researchers have been able to take these out. And we find very interesting sculptures and artifacts that show people flying or riding something that looks like somewhat like an airplane. I mean, do you think that these are some memories carried on from when we were living in Atlantis, or it was something that was in our Earth?
Yeah, they say that our superconscious memory has everything. For some reason, when we reincarnate, our subconscious memory is locked up, and we don't remember our past. There's a reason for it, because unless you're ready, it may be very traumatic to remember your past. I don't want to know if I was a soldier who killed civilians in a past life. I can't live with that. So till the person is ready in a certain evolutionary cycle, in a stage of evolution, and then he or she can remember their past lives. But it's probably better to focus on the present life. I think that as far as memory is concerned, we still have that memory locked in from our initial birth billions of years ago to now. We just have to go within in our intuition and evolve ourselves to the point where we can remember the past. And again, there's been evidence after evidence of advanced civilizations. I mean, there was a documentary I saw where the Hopi Indians have a literal ritual where they hold up a flying saucer and worship this flying saucer, which is like blew me away. And this is a tradition they've had for thousands of years, which again showed me that they've had communications with extraterrestrial beings in the past. Another Russian discovery in Russia, they found in the mountains extremely microscopic spirals of metal, which could only have been done by some advanced machinery. And they found a transistor which they figured would be about embedded in rock, would be like 100,000 years old. So these evidences are just overwhelming in regards to advanced civilizations that we belong to in the past as well.
And I had a previous episode, it was episode 39, Consciousness of the Ancient Civilization. And at that time, there were people, let's say 14,000 years ago and onwards, that the people did look into their souls and understood the concept of human connectivity. But in the theories of this age of Pisces and Aquarius and so on, is that we reincarnated to very lower levels of understanding and I would say like the scientific understanding of life, and then we started to evolve, and we're getting to this age of Aquarius where we start to really understand. But it seems like there were ancient civilizations that, and you also mentioned that too, that they were potentially visited by extraterrestrials, or they understood that we're all connected on a very conscious level. I mean, there seems to be gaps in our human evolution on this earth, of like sometimes that we understood it. Some societies were more maternalistic as well, and this goes into your book about like us going into a more materialistic world rather than this the paternalistic world. And I think that all those things have been like kind of bumps here and there that we see, that kind of seeing a glimpse of like how civilization can be. Maybe on the scientific level it's much more immature. It might be technology wise, it might have been a lot more non-sophisticated, but on a conscious level they were much more highly advanced than we were. So how do you explain all these kind of gaps that we see throughout human evolution?
Well, the thing is, at one time, I agree with you, at one time we were highly evolved individuals, and because of atomic destruction of Maldek and Lemur and Atlantis, we've actually regressed terribly. And what the cosmic beings or cosmic masters are saying, that we, again in this, they're giving us every opportunity to evolve, to raise our consciousness in these days. We just have to think of them, and they'll send a beam of energy through us to send out to the world. In society in general, most people want to stay in power. They don't want the people to come up above them. That's the difference between the cosmic masters. They're saying, listen, you were gods at one time, and it's time to become gods again. And you're just using lower psychic senses that right now you've missed how to use the higher psychic senses, the psychic center in the forehead and above. And so what they're saying is they're giving us all the spiritual power that we need in order to raise our consciousness at this time and help the planet. And so our regression is our own fault. We can't blame any divine source. We can't blame the cosmic beings. We were given free will millions of years ago. We misused the free will. And what they're saying is the only way to freedom is to give up the free will and then get back into the spiritual disciplines. I know that you do self-defense and karate, judo. Those are just ways of disciplining the body to the point where you can actually again raise your consciousness to higher mystic states. That's the essence of these Eastern martial arts, Eastern yogic philosophies. They all point to the same source of raising the consciousness.
And through even my jiu-jitsu practices, I feel like I'm just not I'm not just doing it because I just want to get stronger or for self-defense, but, I do feel this sense that I am, elevating my consciousness so that I'm more in tune with other people's thinking. Because, when you're fighting in that sense, you have to understand not the physical, what the visual that you're actually seeing, but sensing that what the other opponent's going to do a little bit ahead of time so that you can, you could progress in that game. So I feel like, yes, definitely I feel more people's consciousness than I did before.
Dr. King mentioned years ago he met a judo master from Japan, and this man was so advanced in his art. He said that he can, from 20 feet away, he could kill a person with his mind. That's how powerful he got, and he would not even dare think about it. He would rather run than confront any human being or try to harm them. And the essence is that you reach a certain evolutionary scale, you can be very destructive or you can be very healing. So there are beings in lower realms that use the destructive power within and try to control the masses and try to cause destruction or whatever. And then on the other side, that's another thing that people are not aware, that there is a spiritual battle, invisible battle going on behind the scenes between the forces of darkness and the forces of light. The forces of darkness know that their time is up. These lower astral beings who Dr. King, having been in those realms, that are extremely highly intelligent scientific beings, and then we have the ascended masters of this planet who live in retreats, mountain retreats around the world, who are trying to stop these demonic forces from causing maybe a nuclear holocaust so that they can gain their power. And these demonic forces know that the end of the world, as far as they're concerned, is finishing because the vibrations are rising. And so there will be a lot more conflict that will be occurring. There will be this fear and division against races and religions that keeps cropping up all the time. And then we have the ascended masters, the forces of light, who are trying to balance this. And so what we need to do again is help in this spiritual war by sending out this energy of light to transmute or counteract the hate and destruction that is so prevalent on this planet right now.
And what does it mean that Mother Earth is raising its vibrations? Because I can kind of sense what you're trying to say, but I guess for a lot of our listeners who might not, be well in tune with these concepts, could you shed a little bit of light on what it means for the Earth to raise its vibrations?
Well, again, Dr. King said that the most sacred, most holiest being that you will ever touch in your life is the ground on your feet. He said that this our Mother Earth, who has sustained us over the millions of years, is a living, breathing entity. Just like we are living, breathing entities, we're physical beings, but this is not the real us, because when we die, our soul moves on. So again, the Earth is the same. It's a physical Earth, but inside there's an entity that is so evolved as to be beyond our puny imagination. So after the destruction of Meldick, she decided to hold up her evolutionary cycle in order to allow mankind to reincarnate. So she put herself under a tremendous amount of limitations. And then in 1964, on July the 8th, the cosmic beings surrounded planet Earth, and they sent tremendous energies from the sun into her body, into her spiritual heart. And these energies was called the primary initiation of Earth. So she's taken that initiation now. What she could have done is released all those energies at once, which would have been very beneficial to her, but it would have completely destroyed the whole of mankind. So what she's doing instead now is slowly releasing these energies every year, so that she won't harm mankind, and then mankind can conform to her rising, which eventually will come. And then we have been promised an age in the next few centuries where there will be no wars, there will be no pollution, there will be no economic system, there will be no countries, just open land and sea. This is the vision that was seen by my master and other seers in the past. And it's not a case of if it might happen, it is going to happen. So the future has been foreseen, and it is going to happen. So this raising of her vibrations is an aspect of what people have termed the new age, or the great change, or the great reset that's going to happen in the future.
And you said that the climate change is the result of these higher vibrations, and potentially it will wipe out some species. It'll make us our lives are much more difficult. We need to obviously adapt to it. But is this also the intention of the Earth? Is to change the climate so that there will be a lot of how would I say it? There'll be a lot of changes in the vegetation. There'll be differences in species that can survive through this. Obviously, we need to change ourselves as well. Is that the intention?
Yeah, a lot of the species will die off, and Dr. King mentioned that some of the species already are moving on to this other planet, just like we are. We will be if we don't conform. The climate change is again beneficial for the Earth. It was foreseen. The cosmic beings talked about it in the 50s and 60s, long before anybody even discussed climate change. The ice caps are melting, and there will be flooding in certain different countries. I'm not sure which countries, but there will be certain countries will be flooded, and also. This climate change is actually beneficial for the Earth, because what they're saying is that there will be no 4 seasons anymore, and we will have a temperate climate, a beautiful climate that will be very temperate, like similar to Hawaii, but worldwide. So there won't be these fluctuation of weather conditions in the future. And so this is just, these turbulences are just Mother Earth conforming and changing her vibrations according to her evolutionary cycle.
That's interesting. I think the Triassic period, it just had 1 season. It was hot and humid, if I remember correctly. It's kind of like Singapore here. It'll be really nice if they could get rid of the humidity, so it'll be more like Hawaii. Yeah, I understand. And then, so as the Earth heightens its vibrations, how can we conform to it? So you mentioned about needing to conform, otherwise it will be reincarnated to a lower realm. So what is it that we can do?
Like I say, the only solution is a spiritual solution to the crisis we have on Earth. And Dr. King mentioned that if we solve that crisis, he said automatically all crises between countries and in our personal life will automatically solve themselves. So that's the biggest crisis right now. We're not sending out spiritual energy. Again, is very tangible energy. You can feel it as you send it through. I've been healing for over 40 years. I can feel the tremendous energy that goes through me when I send it out, or I go and heal a patient. And so every man, woman and child has this ability to send out spiritual power. And so again, you can do it in your own religious practice. You don't even have to be religious. You don't even have to believe in God. All you have to do is have this desire to serve and draw in this power which has been sent by the cosmic masters, and just send it out as a white light out to the world. That's all. The thing is, it's so simple, Takatoshi, that they, people are always into like complications. They think if something is complicated, that it must be like real. But something this simple of sending out spiritual energy, like, maybe before a soccer match or a football match, if the whole arena raise their hands and send out power, can you imagine the kind of power that would go out to the world? And so that's the only solution. It's a simple one. The cosmic masters do all the manipulation, all the complex manipulation. They can beam because of their advanced scientific knowledge of radionics. They can beam these energies individually, or maybe to 100 million people at a time. That's the kind of control that they have, and all we have to do is think of them. We can actually contact these beings by sending this energy through us and sending out. We may not get a message, we may not get a sign, but that is one way, that it's the only way that's going to save ourselves from our own self-destruction at this time.
Yeah, I feel like we pretty much exhausted all the internal methods that we can think of in order for us to come together, and something like an external force is probably necessary at some point, because all these UN meetings and everything, and we've done quite a lot of things, and obviously I think there's been a lot of progression, but we just don't have the final push to think that. And especially as you write in your book, it's sometimes it's really hard, because you have to love the terrorists, you have to love the murderers, and you have to love all the authoritarian people, or dictators, etc., because they're all part of one consciousness as well. And I think that's the last final barrier that we have. It's that we just can't get over the people that we can't agree to, and we're just fixated that he or she and I are so different that there's no other way to come together, right?
Yeah, and again, the truth of reincarnation has to be shown worldwide. All this conflict in the Middle East between religions and races, it's just total ignorance, because if they realized that they're only one race for a certain life, and then they could come back as the race that they're hating, just to learn that experience. Dr. King said it's guaranteed a rich man will be born very, very poor if he doesn't use his, nothing wrong with having finances, but if he doesn't use it in the right way to help other people, he will be born poor or starving, so that he can experience that. You talk about, an external force. One thing again, which your listeners may not be aware, but the religions talk about a Messiah or a leader coming to earth, and some say it's Jesus, some say it's Buddha, some say it's Moses or whatever. But there has been talk about a great spiritual leader coming to earth, and Dr. King had a contact with a very, very advanced, I would say, a very advanced being who told him that there will in fact come a leader, a spiritual leader on this planet, but he won't be shrouded in any mystery like the way the Master Jesus was born, or the way the Lord Buddha was born, or Sri Krishna. They said that he will openly land. He said it may probably be at a time when maybe like the financial systems have collapsed, and Earth has reached a stage where things have just are not going the way they're supposed to. And he said that he will actually land openly in a spacecraft, and he will approach the Earth leaders. He said he will stand tall among men, be humanoid, in a one-piece suit and silver suit, and he will approach the Earth leaders, and they will ask of him his credentials, and he will produce them. And this is just amazing. It's a value. For me, it brings great hope. But they said that his power will be so enormous. This one man will have more power than the combined military might of all the armies of all the world. This is the kind of power which he will demonstrate. He won't come as a dictator or kill anybody, but Dr. King said he may, with telekinesis, maybe like move the Statue of Liberty from New York to the West Coast as a demonstration of power. But he will demonstrate his power. And again, they said that those who will not heed his spiritual message, again, will be removed from the earth through death and reincarnation onto the planet X. And again, this is something that I think is a great message of hope, because again, we don't have to rely on the people who have molded and hypnotized us to go into war and to do all these things in our history, something greater than everything combined on earth is due to come. And this greatness is spiritual and benign. And that just blows my mind, because, usually you think of something like that coming in would have a tremendous destructive force and kill everybody. No, this is something so powerful, but spiritual and gentle at the same time. That's also what's going to happen in the future as well. It may be actually in the next couple of 100 years. We don't know.
Mm. I guess all the avatars that these people from the other dimensions carried, whether it be Buddha or Jesus or Moses, they all tried to do it in our own human cultural ways, but I guess next time it's going to be quite different. So moving on for us, so as you mentioned, like we want to raise our vibrations and send this white light of energy, and it doesn't matter what religion you are, even if you're not spiritual, this is something that we can do. And then there will be some kind of Messiah coming in a few 100 years. So in that time frame, what we can do as individuals that are carrying on our day-to-day lives. And I want to kind of ask you something a little bit different, because obviously we do want peace and unity in this world, and hopefully all the listeners that are listening to this are in tune with us in that sense. But to live a good life, I think that's something that we need to kind of figure out ourselves internally. And just wanted to hear your views on, because you've seen, like, you went through a life with many ups and downs. And I'd like to ask you, on a personal level, what does it mean for you to have purpose in life? What is the, objective that you think you have in life?
Well, yeah, I don't know anybody on the spiritual path who hasn't had ups and downs. I don't know anybody on the planet right now that's not going through their own personal ups and downs. It's the Cosmic Master said all these experiences have been specially designed to mold us, to make us better. We go through very painful experiences, and I've been through extremely painful experiences. But the question is, well, do you go through these painful experiences and say, why me? Or do you go through these painful experiences and be thankful that you do, so that they say that karma doesn't punish. They say karma teaches. So the greater beings, we're not being punished. We're just getting the experiences we deserve based on our past, behavior, our past lives, and so we have to go through these very painful experiences. And but I'm very grateful that I did. I'm very grateful that it's made me a more wiser person. It's made me a more empathetic person, a more gentler person. Somebody who's gone through cancer, how can they understand cancer? They can empathize more with somebody who has cancer than somebody who doesn't. So sometimes these experiences are given to us so that we can be more empathetic to other people. And so, I would say to your listeners that, for me, I kept it's a case of keeping my faith in my spiritual program, in my spiritual master and his organization, knowing that whatever I went through is essential to make me the kind of human being that I am. And so, I've made mistakes. I don't have a halo over my head. I don't sprout wings. I've made many mistakes in my life. But the thing is, so long as I'm trying, and so long as your listeners keep trying to be better people, eventually we will become better people, no matter what we go through. And, we've been told that we didn't come on this planet to suffer, and whatever challenges that we're given are essential, and they're given to the point where we can also do them as well. They say we're not given anything we can't overcome. So whatever your listeners are going through, just keep the faith, keep sending out the light, keep being of service, and automatically things will get better in your life. Maybe not the way I planned they would be, but the way my karmic pattern planned that it would be.
I'm not really a person that really believes in like destinies and things, and I don't personally think that there should be an objective or a purpose in life. I think the purpose of life is just the experience, right? And how you live life is what makes this life special. It's not about achievements. It's not about, you know, doing things or leaving your name in history. All these kind of things is probably I think it's kind of trivial to me. It's really living the day to day, and that's the life.
Well, I don't think it doesn't matter who you are. It's been said that our higher selves, before we're born, actually choose the parents that we're going to be born into. And so I think an outline is given as far as the experiences that we need, and then either we follow them, or we divert to the left or to the right, or stay in the middle. And again, it's up to us as far as, you know, what we need to do in order to change our evolution. Do we need to regress, you know, by sending out hateful thoughts, or do we continue to stay and become a better person? So again, the decision is ours to make.
I totally agree with that. Well, thank you very much for your time again, and for the listeners again, Wajid's book, The Struggles for World Sanity, is out on Amazon. I hope everybody picks it up and have a read through it. I fully enjoyed it myself. Thanks again, Wajid, for your time.
My pleasure, Takasozi. Appreciate it.
Hi, this is your host Takatoshi Shibayama. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Now, if you enjoyed or disliked this show, please let me know by writing in the comment section. The only way I can improve or add value to you is through your voices. If there are any topics that you would like me to pick up, please also let me know in the comments. I'd love to start chatting with you all. And if you would like to continue watching the show, please subscribe. Thank you.